In contact with iWorks. We had a couple different meetings with them, virtual meetings, to talk about the complaint module. So first thing, the complaint module is 30. Residents to get online, file a complaint with code enforcement. That kicks it up into like a dashboard with just kind of a summary. And then the code enforcement officers would basically pick that complaint and then transfer it over and open it on their code enforcement side of things. And then they would do their investigation, follow-ups, order to remedies, whatever's needed.
So Chief, thank you for getting this information for us. I wasn't sure whether or not you might have be able to answer these questions. So within the system, if a complaint is made, I guess my question is there a paper trail? Do you get a copy? Does the mayor get a copy when a resident submits a complaint? Or does it just go into this dashboard and then it's ultimately up to one of your code enforcement personnel to remedy it, to check it out? Is there a follow-up that somewhere in the administration knows that it's been looked at, it's been remedied, something's been checked off?
If we were to buy this module, then yes, I would have access. Captain Bauer would have access as a supervisor. And then Sean and Ryan, two code enforcement officers, would also have access. We would all be able to see each other's cases, similar to how we can now with the current code enforcement modules.
And then, yes, I would be given access also.
I know just in talking with JR, and I'll just bring up JR's question. JR asked me if I had any idea about this. I don't know if this is something we could look into, but whether or not the module would have the capability to, I don't know, send an email or something within the system would be able to email, say, the alderman where a complaint was made. Because a lot of times we'll have residents that will follow up with us and we're kind of on the outside looking in. I don't know if there's that capability. What was that, Lance? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know if that, if they have that capability to notify.
The question was because your ultimate goal was being able to find tracking for you and your constituents as well. So that's why I posed that question, not saying that. I guess the other question though, Eric, is backing up to, and I know Vernon has the copies there. I did not print them. But in the conversation when we originally bought that in 22, was that when the
March 8, 2023.
23, I'm sorry. Ryan Reed had said that the alderman would have read-only access. Is that in the current system, not in the module? It was asked multiple times in there, and it talked about there would be read-only access to, because I think John's end goal was to be able to kind of track the complaints to see where they're at, to see if something's getting done. Because sometimes it's frustrating having residents call back and not have an answer. I get his thing. But I don't know whatever happened to that. And I know in the past when that was asked again, it was said, no, that was in the read-only. But in those minutes that Vernon has, it was discussed and asked separately. And it was stated a couple times that there would be read-only access to the alderman. I know then there was further conversation, maybe at another time, about employment, if you enter as an employee, but that's not it. But it was said. So why was that part not done to?
I talked to Ryan today, and he said that the read-only access would be if we were to get the complaint module. So if we added on the $3,100 complaint module, the alderman could potentially have access to seeing a summary of the cases. So basically, the address, what the complaint is, and the status.
And I get what you're saying now. I'm hearing your words, but like it was said like 4 different times differently. So it was then spoke on 4 separate occasions in those minutes, like that there was read-only access. Because then further question by John was about going in and entering the complaint, and it was reiterated that it was just read-only. Like So that's why I asked that, because this whole time when this conversation's been coming up. Again and again, I've said, like, it was said that there would be read-only access, so that's why I never understood why that part wasn't done, because then this whole conversation would probably be for nothing, and we wouldn't be talking about saving, or spending $3,100 a year. If the end result is just that.
Well, yeah, I seem to recall having some different information as far as what access we would have back then. But I do recall there being the additional module that would allow residents to file themselves, right? And so definitely valid on both sides. I just say let's make this, streamline this as quick, efficiently as possible. I'm not suggesting that we spend it now, given the freeze. So I'm, if the council's in favor, I'll be bringing forward a resolution to ask that the mayor sign this in at the start of the new fiscal year.
In the meantime, before that happens, we can put together a month-end report for you to try and break down what's going on in your wards, just to get it a little bit better.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I mean, that would be very helpful.
For just each individual councilman?
That's what you guys do.
Yeah, I'd rather see what's going on in Ward 6. I don't want to read through and read 1, 7. I would appreciate that, please.
You got anything else, John?
I mean, is there any other feedback, concern? Are there any other concerns? I guess anybody against adding this module that would allow citizens and then us to be able to have read-only, see what's going on? And then I would assume it would give us the same ability to just log into the website and make a complaint if we see something. And so I think it's a no-brainer.
So the citizens would be able to log their complaints, but they wouldn't be able to see other people's complaints.
Correct.
Anybody here would have access to see a summary of all the complaints, and then that would still keep like the investigation stuff separate.
Brad?
Is this just for code complaints, or is this a pothole, a tree, the code's gonna be coming to DPW saying, hey, we got this complaint, we gotta work through codes, so I mean.
In an ideal world, Brad, I would love that, okay? In an ideal world, that makes the most sense. Whether how the customization of this iWork system, I know DPW doesn't have the iWork system, but would we be able to have the ability, right? Because there's this fine line over, well, the sidewalk, a dangerous sidewalk is DPW. But at the same time, like if a citizen sees a sidewalk that hasn't been plowed or shoveled, and it's all icy, if we have one system that they're able to use and collect a box or something, and then code forwards it on to DPW, something like that would be very helpful. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
I'm just thinking if there, I don't know how the software is, I haven't seen it firsthand, but if there's something where there is a drop-down box and you have those items to select from, then those items are specifically for codes. If it's not on that list, then unfortunately, then you have to call someone to get that remedy. I mean, I don't know if there's something where you'll be able to freehand in your problem, you know what I mean? If they were trying to report, like if someone's trying to report a pothole or something, and this isn't the means.
But why wouldn't it be? Why couldn't it be the
I mean,
means?
it could. If
We would
that
have to
option
ask
was
the
available.
iWork designer whether that would be functional, and what Brad's saying, and then is, if a pothole complaint comes in, whoever code enforcement just forwards that to
Passes it
DPW.
on to the correct department. Okay.
I think that goes back to how long would that person give that webinar that they literally talked about having in the DPW.
Right, but that was a new, right, that was the DPW.
But that was the DPW, and that's because potholes are DPW.
Sure.
Sidewalk, icy sidewalk, you call them, he calls that office. And now, the only way to get it in the current iWork system is that office has to call back to his office, then they put it back in, because we're gonna figure out a way to make the icy sidewalk in one.
Yeah, but that would, I mean, you're right, but that was like an extra $40,000, right?
I know what I'm saying you either need to change parts of the charter that
Oh, you mean
Say-
expand the scope of code
Yeah,
enforcement?
the sidewalk, I see sidewalk complaints, if those are
Yeah.
the biggest things you're looking for, you gotta
I
put
see
it
what
underneath
you're
their purview, or you've gotta buy the software to put it in the DPW. Either side's probably gonna have its own ramifications.
That's interesting.
I can look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we don't care what happens on the back end, how to just make it really the easiest for our residents and for us to be able to follow up on it, right? I mean, we're all at the same end goal. So to JR's point, how you guys structure it in the back end, if we need to do something, to expand the scope of, I mean, I guess, I never understood that, but the sidewalk thing, not being under codes, but.
Well, like I said, the way that, I think I explained it to you earlier, the way I've always understood it is from the inside of the sidewalk towards the road is DPW, and from the inside of the sidewalk to the back of the property line is codes. So the icy sidewalk falls in the right-of-way street side, that's why they have that. But you could, I mean, I don't know, Bill, maybe you can check to see if we can't do something with that too, because there's other things that talked about how like sidewalk construction, DPW cuts the permit, but then codes enforces the construction thereof. So there are other areas where things do overlap. And if that saves the city buying an entire software system for DPW, I think, John, the big goal is not just like it's the sidewalk stuff like that. Because I know it's frustrating because most residents don't know to call Brad pointing at you as DPW to say like, call that office. They're gonna call there. And like, what is, and while we're stressing that, so that way it's kind of out there, like, what is the standard procedure on that from either one of you? So if you call in that, how long, because there's been a lot of people posting about icy sidewalks. If you drive around the city right now, I think Bill can tell you, like, the other day, when I know he was at the same service, when you walk down North Union, most of them things were sheets of ice, and they were, bad. It hasn't been snowing, it hasn't been icy. I know the old spot on Front Street there had an 8-inch packed down ice shelf, hadn't been touched all year. I know I called personally in on that one. And it took 2 weeks, and then they finally, when I checked it, they said, well, we called them and left a message. Well, I thought it was, they get an OR, they don't do it, you send somebody in to do it. I think the residents would be happier if things didn't take 2 weeks to be done, too. So what is the procedure on that, so that way then people would kind of have an idea on the timeline of that?
You ask me?
Sure, because if do you know, Brad?
I don't normally handle the sidewalk complaints and, sending those. We have out to do the sidewalk complaints. I believe we have a part-time person doing sidewalk complaint or, remedies, shoveling and stuff. But I know there should be a process of,
Well, there's I can't remember the exact word, but in our business district, they have so many hours to get it done. It's supposed to be
24.
yeah. And then residential, it's,
Check for clarity, Bill, but I think it's all 24 hours. It's within 24 hours of the,
of the
I don't stop snowing.
yes.
You have 24 hours, so we generally give, I don't know how many hours after we give a notice, but what those notices consist of, or what they say exactly, I'm not sure.
That's fine, that's something we can look at, because I mean, I know really haven't had a lot of accumulation now, it's been 24 hours. You guys all drive around the city, you see the people saying things online. There's a lot of sidewalks that haven't been touched, all winter long. And I know personally, I wouldn't mind, I know that, again, we do things kind of reactively, like we wait for a complaint to come in. It would be nice is when people are traveling around that work for the DPW, if they notice it, jot it down, and then send the OR, not wait for somebody to complain. I don't know why we have to wait for the slip and fall to be proactive. Vernon?
I wanted to piggyback on that because I have that same issue in Ward 6, and I know I wrote in about a couple of intersections in our ward that fall into that category. But back to the minutes from when we talked about this software, there was a statement in here by the former chief that they were going to be bringing code changes to us that would present more teeth. And I know we haven't received much from the current chief or anyone from codes for any code changes. This is one that I think should be tackled to shorten that time frame that we're waiting. If we're going to wait 24 hours after ice is already formed, and then we're going to go and expect these people to be able to get ice up when they didn't get the snow up, then I think there should be a code change in that. And then as far as the software itself, just to piggyback again on what Councilman Bain said, there's at least 3 or 4 times in here where it mentions being able to see this information, and I feel like that was a selling point to the council, and apparently it was misleading, because here we are a year later and we're talking about adding something else in at a cost when it was mentioned in here that that was an added cost. But for being able to do the complaints, it was mentioned that what we'd be able to read only, have a read only, and it's been almost a year. Next month will be a year, and we haven't had anything for that. So at this point, I'm willing to move forward with 3100 to get that going so that we can have that feature, and then it's up to the council members to monitor, I'd say, their awards for these issues, and to ensure that they're getting completed in a good amount of time.
John?
Chief, just, I know you've tackled a lot since taking over the role, and as long as I've been here, to echo what they're saying is, I've always heard that we have a complaint-based system, and every council I've ever worked with has said, why, what are the pros and cons versus going to a proactive system, meaning as they're out, as everyone's here, the crew is out driving around, going to address a complaint base, something, they, stop and address the 10 others that are on the street. And, if there is a pro and con, I think in an ideal world, the council would love to see that, but maybe there are reasons why we have a complaint-based system. And I'm not expecting you to have the answer right here, but maybe if you could follow up with us, and, is that something that is typically not done in municipal code enforcement? Or is it done? What can we do to have that more, like Brennan said, more teeth, more of the proactive enforcement? Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Answers for that.
Thank you, Chief.
Eric, I guess for me, I see the value there, John, what you're discussing, but it's the what if. What if, as Vernon just said, it was mentioned 3 or 4 times in there, and that's not true. And in fairness, you were not part of that conversation, so, you didn't present it there. So, can we see if that's not true, if you can get to that? I do see there's drawbacks if you just have an open complaint system. I can see the drawbacks. I think everybody can see the drawbacks. But what happens if you spend the $3,100 and then you don't get the desired results?
Just stop
Yeah, you can stop it, but you were sold something there that is not happening. So now we just add more money, and then after that, then we're just gonna add more money, or we're just gonna keep throwing money at the problem when we're still having the same conversation.
it. This adds new functionality, right? This allows people, there was nothing in what we were told that would allow people to file complaints.
No, but your original question in that conversation was being able to view the complaints,
Yes.
to be able to see the status, which was said multiple times that it could be done.
Yes. But that's not why I'm bringing this conversation up. It wasn't just so we could see stuff. It was, how do we make complaints easier? How does everyone make complaints easier?
Bill?
If I may suggest, okay, with the freeze on, we're not gonna be spending the money tomorrow to get this. Why don't we bring the company back in to give us presentation on that module and answer all your questions?
In all honesty, I think they put us to sleep during the last one. I think he explained more than what we were looking for. I guess if we were to do that, then we probably ought to generate questions beforehand and then have them provide the answers. And then I think that would eliminate them wasting.
We can do that too.
Well, yeah, I mean, just what we gave the chief here, you know, as far as, right? Being able to do a demo of citizen files a complaint and then what we see.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be a half hour, this is how you set up an account
Right.
and everything else, right?
Well, it can even be, we ask them the questions and they start to get us the information and get it to you instead of
Yeah.
here. So
I'm good with that.
maybe they probably could produce, I imagine they probably could produce a PowerPoint explaining how you do that and run right down through it.
I'm good, I'm good. Thank you.
Anybody else? Or we'll just wait for the riveting performance. All right, no other unfinished business, no new referrals, no committee reports. I'll make a motion for adjournment. Any second? All in favor? Opposed? Thanks, Dave.
Second by Smokey over here. King.
I'll call to order finance for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. Let the record show that all aldermen are here with the exception of Alderwoman McCall and Alderman Pence. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous committee meeting held Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. Can I get a second? Seconded by Alderwoman Forney. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. No unfinished business. New referral here for consideration is federal grant for the police department. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I have Chief Richardson here to speak about this.
So we'd like to work with John Bowman from the Olean State University. to apply
Chief, you
for
want to,
funding.
oh, you got,
Sorry, it's that mic. I was clicking.
Not working?
No, you're
I
good.
was clicking.
So there's no cost to apply for these grants. It's kind of, we'll look and see what's out there. Right now, there's some, a grant for mental health training and substance use. Basically the cause that we're going on. Just looking to do some research and, get permission to allow them to do that.
Okay.
John Bowman is an associate professor at the Department of Sociology at Bowling Green State University. And he has ties in the community here. So he's been interested in helping us out. So he's willing to do all the work and be no fee to us. And there again, you know, if there are grants and if there are matching funds off of them, we'll come to you first before, you know, and we'd have to approve it, so. But I think it's a good thing to look at these grants. I think federal grants are gonna be coming back, and especially when it comes to law enforcement and that, so.
Yeah, I think if you're just looking for a verbal, support, we firmly support it. I think that I think we'd probably be surprised with the number of, the amount of time that our department spends on situations with mental illness and honestly, Mayor, it might be something also to, look to partner with the homelessness task force on too, as an opportunity, to see what else is available, out there. Any other comments, questions? Okay, great, thank you, Chief. So at this time, I am going to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss the purchase of real property. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Robinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. We're gonna head out of the